Well, hello everybody. We're back with my world. It's been a fun week. There's been a lot of things happening in the city. But one of them has been making a lot of connections with, people in the past and present. And one of my favorites is sitting right here in front of me. Sherrod, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, what's up, everyone? Sherrod the dancer here. Sherrod the writer. Sherrod the whatever I am today.
A lot of things. Author.
Yeah.
You have Go Dance magazine now.
hmm
You've been a phenomenal professional dance instructor now for as long as I've known you. So I know that, I have some discipline to get moving on, but let's talk about you for a while. So tell us a little bit about what you're focusing on these days.
Uh, these days, right now we're getting ready for the next issue of the magazine, which has been a really great experience to build a community.
Yes.
And I had this conversation with someone a couple of days ago that people really, I don't think people really understand what building a community is. A lot of people like to say it, and we live in a generation now where a lot of people like to say things that just sound cool, and a lot of people want to be accepted for what sounds cool at the moment, but don't necessarily want to put in the work that becomes by it. I mean, and it sounds like a cliche statement, but it's true. You know,
I agree 100%
yeah,
actually.
and it's just like, you look and you see a lot of these posts on here, and it just makes you wonder, like it sounds harsh, but has like the sounding of being cool is like what's in, you know? And,
Most things have just become something trendy now, whether it's fashion, it's food, it's a new event, it's a restaurant, a bar. Most things have to trend or else it's just not relevant.
yeah. Yeah. So then dealing with the magazine now, I have the picnic that's coming up September the 22nd, which is going to be a really cool event, I think.
Where is it going to be?
It's going to be at um, Willow something Hollow Park.
Okay.
It's in Westland. It's right on the I'm drawing a blank right now, but it's like on that Arbor Trail,
Okay. Okay.
Ann Arbor Trail through those little parks. Yeah, it would be right there. I think it's Willow Hollow, Merriman Hollow Park.
Okay.
That's where it's
Okay.
going to be. Yeah.
Well, I can share this information on, my world site. That way, if anybody wants to, find it, it'll all be there, by the
Yeah.
way, everybody.
Yeah.
So most of this conversation will be on my world for you guys to find is whenever he's done. So the cool thing is there's a lot. What's behind this conversation is what we haven't talked about yet, and that's kind of how I met Sherrod. And some people know and some people don't, but I used to teach ballroom dance. It was a huge part of my life, if not it was my life at some point, and that was in Arizona. But when I moved back here, it was really hard for me to find a good group of people to feel comfortable to ballroom dance with professionalism and determination and ambition. And Sherrod was just one of the standouts. I mean, I think since then I haven't. I don't know if I've met another one other than you and our mutual friend
Yeah.
that has stood out to me as far as somebody that's really driving the community for what you're doing.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I
I didn't
mean
pay.
it.
I didn't pay her to say that. If
No,
anyone
he
was-
didn't. He didn't. But it's one thing you notice with people. They either it's either you got it or you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it comes with training as well. Someone asked me, actually, DJ Kim James, shout out to him, the spin doctor. He asked me just last week, he said, do you always teach dressed up? And I say, yeah, for the most part, because like this is a business, and no disrespect to other teachers that, you can wear whatever you want to wear,
Right.
but I was trained a different way to show a certain professionalism and, to carry yourself that way. So, yeah, I don't always teach in shirt and tie. It depends on the weather. But occasionally I will have on a tie. I will have on a suit jacket and just have that look of professionalism because I do this for a living. Like I've been teaching dance for a long time as like my main source of income.
And it's funny you said that, because now that I look back, as far as I've known you, you've always danced dressed up.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that, who is that guy?
Yeah.
Which is very, it speaks for your passion for what you do, I think. And that's why people circulate around you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been a blessing. I mean, and then you just want to hold yourself to a certain standard. I
Of
mean,
course
you
you
have
do.
people that is investing in themselves. And so always want to have that appearance of like, yes, you can trust me with your investment.
Yes.
So then I look the part. So that's how I look at it, and it works for me.
Oh, and you do.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys should see this guy on a dance floor. It's very addicting to watch. And on the competition floor.
Mm-hmm.
And you have quite a few. I mean, I've seen you compete now year after year. You're all the way in there.
Yeah, I compete a lot, and I have a lot of clients that like to compete as well. And I compete professionally myself too, and I'm getting ready to start back competing with my partner Aubrey. She's 6 feet tall. When she see this, she's probably gonna be
She's the
laughing.
same one that I remember. She's
She's the tallest person
beautiful.
that I have danced with, and it works so well because she's that tall. I'm 6'3", and I have students that love to compete. I don't pressure any of my students to compete. I tell them, this is why you should compete. This is why you should do showcases. This is why you should go out and dance. And some people don't like to compete and they like to do showcases only, which is totally okay.
Right.
But when you're investing into me, I lay the plan out for you. Okay, this is what you need to do if this is where you're trying to go.
Yep.
So
And it's hard to find dance instructors that, are not just looking to get you into a competition, that are actually looking to seek, for your best interests and watch you grow gradually, rather than making a bunch of mistakes during a competition, which happens often, just because they want you to pay for all that, which is very expensive. I mean, as I know it, I know competitions are not really affordable for sometimes everybody.
right.
So it's very important to have somebody that actually cares about your growth for the long term, and not just somebody that's seeking to, make a living out of you whenever they can.
Yeah. And then we have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like the person that I compete with the most is Barb. And I remember last year at Michigan Dance Challenge, it was a club night. And, Mark, shout out to Mark Brock. His comps are always a good time. Like his club nights it's crazy. Like people in there with wigs on.
Really?
Yeah, I wore a green
I've never
suit.
been.
Oh, man. If Mark's is in March, I believe, go to his club night. And
Where is it?
his is always at the Henry for the most part.
Okay.
The Henry, yeah. And Blake Kish is getting ready to do something crazy with his too. His is more of the Motown feel, so he's having the Motown fashion
Yep.
on his disco night. And so Barb and I was getting ready to go out on the floor, and I said, hey, listen, I want you to do this. I'm going to lay down on the ground, and I want you to like dance,
Right.
like coming over top of me. And she was like, what?
I
That's
would
crazy.
freak out.
I know, yeah, she did freak out, but she did it. And then the cameraman caught the shot. And so it created an even better memory, because now we have that photo that we can go and laugh at. And it's good for her because, she's, at one point, she was in a really bad car accident.
Oh my God.
And the doctor told her she would never be able to run again.
Oh.
So now the fact that she's dancing even at her age, this is why I love what I do. I get to be a part of that journey.
That has to be so fulfilling.
Oh man, and people don't understand. I try to tell people, man, like I do more than just teach dance. Fulfilling people's, dreams and fantasies and stuff. I hear so many stories of people that come in. People are divorced, people are widowed, people.
And it keeps you youthful, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that from what I've seen in the years that I taught, it really has helped a lot of my customers and clients, and now, very good friends, get into the best shape they've ever been, in your core. And
Yeah.
that's where it starts anyway, right? And then I know, from what I've learned, you start training on your core, and once you really know how to control your body, the rest of it follows with you, and then you get to see a body that you haven't seen before, the best shape that your body can be in, I think, and then its most natural form.
Yeah, I heard that same thing too from who are we just talking about that you was training in Arizona?
Blake?
No, Bob
Bob and
Powers.
Julia Powers.
Bob Powers said that to me. He said we was working on because I trained with him too, and we was working on figure 8 motion. And he said,
He's
once
the
you get
best.
this, you'll never lose it.
Yes.
So we trained really hard on the core.
Bob's figure 8 is
unbelievable.
unreal. If there's anybody to learn from, he's got that down.
Yeah.
And like in his East Coast swing, like you can see it all.
I trained with him too on that. Yeah, we had a really great. This is about 4 years ago. I trained with him.
Yep.
The cool thing about Bob, and you and I were talking about this too. Like instructors just aren't training these days. I was in New Jersey at a training, and it was just like teacher training. And Bob, he's retired. He still teaches and travels. But I was in the cha-cha class. He wasn't the one teaching. No, it was a East Coast swing class. He wasn't the one teaching it. But I turned around and he was standing right next to me doing the exact same steps as I was learning with someone else. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, it was humbling. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's this man, this 3-time Mambo champion, 3-time world champion, and he's in the same group class with me, still learning.
That's what makes him who he is, though. And that's, that's what makes you who you are, too. I've watched you do it. And, obviously it's fun to watch professionals coach because you get to see how it's done. But in their mind, they're trying to get better. So I can see you trying to improve as I'm watching you do something I still can't do yet.
Yeah.
Which is so much fun, I think, to me. And then do you guys talk about that in your magazine?
I actually talk about a little bit in this issue. And there's so much content that I have started to write or have written and then just put it in this magazine yet. Just out of just trying to be cautious about things that I say. But at the end of the day, I'm a journalist too.
Right.
So somebody has to talk about it, So if this is the platform, then...
Right.
So
somebody's got to say it.
Somebody's got to say it.
Might as well be you.
Might as well be me. So I'm itching more into deeper content that needs to be talked about that is happening around here in Michigan. Michigan has a really great dancing, but there is some things that needs to be changed. I may not be the vehicle for that, but I'm going to start initiating the conversation.
If not then when?
If not, then when. People need to train. And then people think that they're training, but they're really not training.
Or depends on, their approach and how they're doing it and who they're learning it from.
Yeah.
And, is it the right way or is it the direction where I think DeVita, right, is who you get training through.
Yeah.
Is it the way that it's going to be 10 years from now or 5 years from now? Where is it going?
Right.
So... where would anybody be able to find your magazine?
They can find it at GoDanceDetroit.com on all social platforms, websites. You can find it there. I have a Go Dance Detroit store. You can go there, get
Where's
T-shirts.
your store?
It's an online store.
Okay.
Oh, not a brick and mortar. Not there.
Oh, I was going to... It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How did I not know about this?
Yeah, online.
So that's still exciting, though. So I can buy the hat you're wearing right now?
You can buy the hat, T-shirts. And again, I'm still in my growing phases. Like, I started this magazine 3 years ago, but the idea came like almost 10 years ago. And so, I had the idea. I'm really good at the ideas. I'm really action-orientated. Like, if I say I'm going to do something, like, I'll start doing it and figure out things along the way. And I've always been that way. It works for me. Some people like to write things out and plan it. Me, it's just like my writing. I don't have to write out chapter by chapter which each chapter is going to be. I just start with on this day, and then I just go from there.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, and I wish everybody did the same thing.
Well, everybody has their learning approach. I'm a little bit of both. I have to start somewhere and write it down a little bit, just like this is how kind of, my world came about. It's something that just like meeting you along the way, David, it streamed from meeting so many amazing people, doing great things. And I'm like, you know what? They just need to be known for what they're doing. And if nobody else is going to do it, I am. And people are my favorite subject. And of course, Michigan is my favorite subject. I mean, I'm literally a walking pure Michigan commercial. Anybody tells me that they're trying to move, I'm like, listen, we have this, and this, and this. Are you sure you want to leave?
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. I enjoy meeting, like-minded individuals who are trying to do better and are leading other people to follow. So, I've watched you grow, but you're also pulling people up with you, which is important for people to do in general every day.
Yeah.
So you have the magazine. Now, what articles do you guys talk about in the magazine? What comes up? What's a topic?
I'll give
What's
you.
your favorite topic, I guess?
In this issue right now, I'll tell you one.
What?
It may stir up some things. I don't know. But,
This is the place to stir it up. Let's go.
I challenge, these instructors. Like, our instructors, like, lowballing their lessons just to get clients.
Oh.
And, like, what is the standard rate for private dance lessons in Michigan? Every state has a standard. Like, hey, this is going rate for private lessons. Like, some instructors are setting their prices so low just to get clients, which is kind of taken away from the person or the independent instructor who does this full time,
Right.
and who gets training and has the current information. Then you have people who just start teaching, and then they charge, I don't know, $25, $45
$25 to $40
for an hour lesson. The standard time, even the standard time, in most studios is 45 minutes.
Typically.
Typically.
And you shouldn't really be charging less than $80 an hour
Exactly.
at least.
Now, see, you guys heard it here first. That's what's in the magazine. Now, you heard it from her, and I didn't tell her that.
And I heard it from people above me that have been doing it and training. I mean, you have to take into thought that this is not cheap to learn.
Right.
It takes a lot of coaching. It takes 15, 16 hours in front of a mirror to perfect certain things. And it's not something that you can just YouTube and learn in a day.
Right.
These are things that need to be coached, and it is expensive. And so, just like any other thing that you'd be learning that would cost, that would be an investment in yourself to change your life, it is well worth every penny of that $80 an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
As far as I know.
For sure. And then this is a lot goes into it. I mean, you still, even though, you give an instructor 80, depends on what studio he was at, he still has to pay the studio.
Yeah.
He still has to pay for gas.
You still have to pay for what the studio offers. If it's in a good location and you are excited to go to that location because you like being in this certain community, you're paying for that.
Yeah.
But your majority of what you're learning is the investment that the person has made in themselves, and that's teaching to you. And that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it takes years and years and years to perfect some things.
Yeah.
And there's at least 25 dances. Each dance has like at least 20 something patterns, depending on what level, bronze, silver or gold that you're learning. So that's a lot of training.
It's a lot of training, and it costs a lot. Like my lessons that I take to better myself and improve, you're looking at like $130 for 45 minutes, and I'm doing 4 and 5 hours at a time. Yeah. So it's an investment that I make in myself, and I tell my students, oh man, wait, I have some new information, I came back from New York. I told them like, hey, I got something good to share with you.
So you're like the really good plug, the weed plug. You're like, listen, I got something better than last week, man.
Yeah, I try to keep new information because it's, although I'm making myself better, I teach full time. So I obviously want the people that I teach to be better as well.
Of course.
So when I get new information, I receive it, then I can break it down more so they can understand what's going on.
Well, their dancing is a reflection of you in some way, right? So why would you want to not do your best if they're not going to be out there representing your style of teaching?
Hey.
That was a big thing for Bob and Julia Powers too. And my instructor, who I'm actually I think if it wasn't for him, there's a lot of things about myself that I don't think that I would have been able to get in touch with personally. So huge thanks to Fat Cat Ballroom Dance Studio in Phoenix, Arizona.
Fat cat.
They literally have changed my life, for the better. But I mean, I was so shy before I started there. And if it wasn't for the team there, I don't think that I would have been able to get the guts to speak in a big circle. I mean, I remember, usually how we had our Friday night dances be like 200 people in a circle, and Terry would be right in the middle with a microphone and just teaching, either the cha-cha or a Viennese waltz and everything. So, for whatever reason, Terry couldn't be there, or we had like a specific theme and I had to do it, you better believe I was sweating bullets. I mean, 200 people in a circle and they're relying on you to teach them something. Forget about it.
Yeah. Right.
And I was only 21. So that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But yes, it takes a lot of focus to teach what you learn over the course of 10 years if you're going to be gold level, right? If you're going to be really, really a good, gold level professional dance instructor. So other than the magazine that you can find online and the clothes that you can buy, you were also a writer before you were a dancer. Let's talk about your life a little bit before this, Sherrod.
Yeah. Before dance, I get that asked a lot. What was I doing before dancing? And I was pursuing a writing career, and I had. Growing up, I didn't read many books, but my mom would order them. But I always liked English, and I always liked storytelling. I even lied just to get on Fox 2 News one time. Yeah, I told a story.
How did that? Okay, now you got to share the story.
Oh, man.
You open that can.
To make it a long story short, like Fox 2 News that came to school, I was in second grade, and it was asking kids, have they witnessed anybody in their family get murdered? And I didn't, but I lied and told them I did, and I broke down the story, how we was in the store, then I saw guys looking through the window, and here I am, how old are you in second grade, like 7?
Typically, like
7 or 8,
years old.
And so they bought it, and I ended up on the news telling that story. So the storytelling has always been there, that artistic side of me.
You just touched right that spot in your mind that said, this is what you're going to do.
Yeah. So I started writing my first book. It took me like 2 months to write. And then I self-published it. And
that was how many, because you've been dancing for a long time.
I've
so
been
that
dancing.
had to
I've
be...
been dancing like 6 years now. Like 5-6 years.
And everybody, I mean, he's all of like 21 years old. I'm kidding. He's a little below than that, but he doesn't look it.
I'm trying to get younger. I exfoliate a lot.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
I saw that.
I'm not ashamed of it. You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, you do. No, it's been a pleasure watching you. I was so happy to get reconnected with you on social media because I got to watch you grow as a person. I saw you come out with the magazine and I'm like, whoa, this guy's doing something again. Yeah. Then you come out with doing more and then you're selling clothes and you're the apparel. And it's like, okay, he's doing more again.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're stopping here. I think from what I hear that you have a few more plans, at least personally and for the community. Maybe soon?
Yeah, soon. And, although I said I like to do things unconventionally, like with my writing, I just started writing, but I do set goals. Like, I'm ready for the year to be over. Like, this year is done for me. This year was done for me, like, even before my birthday. I'm ready for 2020 just to get to the things that I got planned for next year. The cool thing is that my birthday falls in the middle of the year. So, like, a week before the year begins, I'm in my head, I'm processing, I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. Let's go into the year. And then I have 6 months. Then my birthday falls in July. And so then like a week before then, I do the same thing to prepare for the next 6 months. So I'm ready for the new year. And there's definitely more things that I have planned, certain things that I can't talk about right now. But there will be a Go Dance Detroit showcase next year.
There has to be.
Yeah, it'll be a good time, and I already have the perfect venue for it. That
I might sign up for that
one.
Then.
You should.
If that's going down.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this venue is that there's only 313 seats available at this location.
So, selective, passionate people will be there that are there for the right reason. I love it. And how do you just know how many seats? Like, are you giving out a hint?
I mean, I had already had this planned out last year. In 2018, I already knew what was coming in 2020.
Nice.
Yeah.
So for somebody like me who wants to start somewhere, right? And I don't know if you were involved with or I think you were or may not have been, but pardon, my ignorance of the situation, but Dancing with the Stars in Michigan, there is one typically that they hold every year. It's usually a charity event. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that something you're usually a part of? Or?
Yeah, I've done it twice. I danced with Jeff Abood. Shout out to Jeff Abood. Do you know who Jeff Abood is?
The lawyer?
Oh, the lawyer. Oh, my God.
Of course, who doesn't know Jeffrey Abood? Okay,
Jeff is one of the coolest
now
guys
I'm going to
ever.
have to tag him in this post.
Yeah, I danced with him and his wife, Joelle.
Oh, she's, yeah.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful
Good couple. And I just saw, Jeff had, his whole Abood banner on the Michigan State football stadium. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the guys. Every time you see him, he's like, man, he's doing it again.
Oh, yeah. His team is out doing amazing things. I mean, I've noticed at least in the last 2 weeks, some of his practicing lawyers there at his firm are getting rewarded for some huge accomplishments. So great job to that law firm. And definitely hit up Jeffrey Abood for any of your divorce needs, but this is literally not paid, by the way. I don't want anyone to get a divorce, but if you were to go that direction, that's where you would go.
I got in trouble for talking to him too long one time when I was at Arthur Murray.
Oh.
Man, his story was so
Is that
fascinating.
where I met you, though? The one in Sterling Heights?
No, this was in the one in Royal Oak.
Okay.
And I just thought he was just a fascinating guy, how he carries himself. He's always happy-go-lucky, and I was just like, hey, I think he started talking about how he got into where he is. No, it was his car. He had this burnt orange. I don't know if it was a Mercedes or a Lexus or something like that. I asked him about his car, and he just started telling me stories about how he got to where he is, and he was very serious about what he needed to do. He said he was just going to networking events or private parties that he wasn't invited to, but he would show up and just act like he was a part of the thing, and that's how he started networking. And I just thought that was cool. You have to be crazy to do that, but that's what it takes, obviously, because look where he is now.
He wanted bad enough.
Yeah.
I
forgot what we were talking about.
So you danced with him?
Oh, yeah. And I danced with Hannah Saunders from Fox 2.
Nice.
About 3 years ago.
So are they doing that event again this year, or did it already pass?
I think it already passed. There's a few that do it, a few different organizations, and it's really cool. I mean, it's a good time, but I haven't done one in a couple of years now.
That'd be a fun thing to get into again. I've yet to, I know that they have them, and I keep missing them. So I just need to find out when one comes, because I'm a huge fan of some of the people that try it. But if someone like me who did it in the past, or maybe haven't done it in a long time, or have never done it, what's the best way to start?
Getting back into dancing?
Yes. Or starting somewhere.
Starting somewhere. I would say just do some research on the instructors. I mean, I'm not the guy that says, oh, take lessons with me. I mean, I don't do that, because it may not be a great fit.
Right. Depending on what you're trying to learn.
Depending on what you're trying to learn, it may not be a good fit for me. So I kind of give, someone asked me that too about a year ago, and I gave them the rundown about, hey, if this instructor teaches this, he's good at this. This instructor teaches this, he's good at that. Oh, and then there's me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
But, do your research.
You still got to give yourself some credit, too.
Yeah, you still, but you just have to do your research and figure it out. I would recommend probably going out social dancing. If you have time for that.
That is a good way to learn.
Get your feet wet with that. Just go out to social dancing. Any place that...
Group dances.
Cisco and Paul. Cisco, they've been in the Latin scene a really long time.
Where's that?
Cisco, they're out at... this is not paid for, by the way. But I just love the community, man.
Yeah,
I don't
why not
mind
talk about
sharing
it? This is what the show is about.
Cisco and Paul, they do Orchid on Wednesdays. They also do the Sangria and SCL on Fridays and Saturdays. DJ Tony Toka's with him too. They do Rosie O'Grady's on
They do
Sundays.
that?
Yeah, those guys work hard.
Huh.
Those guys and Cisco, they've been in the game here for about 30 years at least.
That's a good way to start.
But
And talk about a fun way to start.
Yeah, they're really good guys.
Yeah.
They're really good at what they do. A lot of studios too offer them, but as far as like going out, like if you want to be out and social, start there. You can go to some clubs in Detroit. Club Yesterdays on Tuesdays. If you want to do like Detroit ballroom dancing, really
If
great
I
crowd
wanted
there.
to do ballroom, say I wanted to really, really get good at, maybe starting to learn a waltz or a tango and real get serious with that.
But see, that's a fine line too, because when people say ballroom to me, I ask them, what do you mean by ballroom? But if you go south of 8 Mile and people say ballroom, then you know what they're talking to, because Michigan has that urban ballroom and
Yes, they
traditional,
do.
which will also something I'll be talking about in the future. Like Detroit ballroom people are using silhouettes of images that are not urban. It's like false advertising, but I'll save that for later.
Uh-oh. All right. Next episode.
It'll be like me.
Love it when it gets juicy.
It'll be like me promoting a salsa event, but you see it's a Lindy Hop couple on the image because you know what Lindy Hop looks like. And
Of course. Yep.
So yeah, we got to stop doing that.
Okay. Now I see what you're saying. And coming from a dance background, I know how annoying that could be because you hate having people misled into something that they're learning that is different. They thought is different, but really is just a copy of something in the past.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. And for the people that are passionate about it are the ones like you that really speak up about it. Because if you don't, then people are just paying for the wrong things.
Yeah. People paying for the wrong things, man. And people just have to be. Sometimes people do things for the wrong things. People may. I don't know. Let's say that.
So let's talk about maybe. I think from what I gathered in this conversation, I think that there's definitely room for more passionate coaches, trainers, dance events. It just seems like to me that there's something missing, and I think that's a community. Is there an ethics board that usually handles certain things like this where, say, where should prices be, or how close should you be to somebody that's already teaching or has a ballroom studio open? Is there an ethics board or of some sort that like takes care of,
to be honest, I don't
voting
know
on or letting people vote on certain things?
I don't know if man, the Michigan dance scene is so separated that will be a really tough job to get something like that organized. What the purpose of the magazine was to bridge the gap and to let people know who they are, where this is being done.
Right.
So what you're thinking may be a job for someone else after me.
Right.
I prayed for a long time for the gift of discernment. I want to be able to see people's intentions, even when just speaking to them for a little while, because a lot of people are not doing things for the right reasons, and it's like, I myself sometimes like, man, I really want to work with that guy. Why is this vibe not happening? That's why.
Right.
I have
There's a
lot of
very big churn and burn type of feel that they're portraying.
Yeah, so it's like, well, I guess that won't work. So I think that is a really big commitment that you're speaking of that could happen. But I don't know. People like doing their own thing.
It is true, but in states like Ohio, well, let's call it the southern states, for the most part is what I've seen, have been really passionate about ballroom as a whole. So obviously there's a lot of politics involved in it, but say Arizona, for example, it's a very big scene. Even in Florida, Texas, it's a very big scene. I mean, as you know, Texas ballroom is a very big popular topic. And so it is in Arizona and some states, but not so much here. But I never understood that when I moved back to my home state, which is Michigan, why there wasn't a scene, an actual, like a community. I noticed there were a lot of people in different spots doing different things, but I also noticed a lot of dance studios closing down. And I think that's because there was a lack of community. It's just everybody out for themselves.
Everyone out for themselves. And I mean, just hate to say this about where you're from, but people have a lot of pride and ego here.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's destroying.
I think that stops after the show.
Yeah.
What do you say?
We try, but I mean, the try is the win. You can try to make an attempt. You know, I can try with Go Dance Detroit, and some people support it and some people don't support it. And I hear a lot of things that I don't share with everyone. So I hear a lot of backlash for it, and stuff like that. But
so for a magazine like that wants to bring a community together, are there is there a page there where you can kind of find sources to where you can find different things or different places to dance at?
Yeah.
Are you bringing the community together that way?
Yeah, there's a section on there that have places you can go every single day of the week. And on the website, there is a link on there, weekday events that you can go and look and see what's happening this weekend. So
I like where this is going.
Yeah.
I think it starts with you. And if anybody was to do it, I think you'd be the one.
Well,
as long as you're open-minded to it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I actually just talked to Eddie. Anyone who knows Eddie, Eddie, Kizomba dancer.
Yep.
He just moved to Texas, and I talked to him a couple days ago, and I said, "How was the energy there?" That's all I said to him, just the energy. I didn't say anything about dancing, and his response was, "Bro, the dance communities down here are very supportive of one another."
That's exactly what I meant.
Very supportive of one another, and it's like, man, I want that here.
It'd be lovely to have that here.
It'd be lovely.
Well, then I guess we just have a new challenge at hand, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, man. It's like, like Detroit is like going through this rebuild phase, and everything else is too, the dancing. And
why
everything.
not? So let this be the year of rebirth.
Yeah.
If we're gonna start somewhere, let it be a theme everywhere.
Yeah. We got to get more young people dancing. There's too many, events. There's so many events that are happening that I think would be cool if young people were more involved. And when I say young people, I mean like millennials, like, us. We need a place to go. And it's very hard for us to get nice venues that we can have a place for us.
Well, now I'm just gonna have to go out and do this.
Yeah, you gotta just do it.
I think I'm gonna work with you on this, but I think if anything, look at there's so much room. If you think of all the empty buildings in Detroit now that are not getting used, there's so much opportunity that we probably just haven't thought about yet because we haven't had this conversation yet. Well, you heard it first. You all heard it first here. So, for me, I think I would love to see what you're going to be up to next. And obviously, as you do, I'll be posting it on my page, on my world, on my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and on Podcast Detroit as well. So I just wanted to thank you for coming out today and spending this time, with my world and me. And it's always great to see you.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be this long until the next time I see you.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting ready to work on something though, so we'll be seeing each other a lot more.
So now everybody heard it first today. Yeah. We just plotted something. So.
Before we go, October the 17th, I'm having an event.
Where?
At the Jolly Pumpkin. You ever been there?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, in the basement.
What are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm having a basement party.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be a basement dance party.
Parties.
Yeah, and it's going to be a celebration for my girlfriend's birthday.
Sonia's birthday?
Yeah, Sonia's birthday is October the 16th. We'll be there the 17th. I knew
She's
for a long time.
She's so beautiful, by the way. Oh my God, he's got a gorgeous girlfriend.
Yeah, she's
and
so
she seems
great.
like such a sweetheart, and she's doing good things for herself too, and she's looking out for people who have, certain situations that it's so sweet of her to do what she's doing.
Yeah, she's Radiant Alchemist has really been doing its thing.
I follow the page, by the way.
Yeah, it's really cool. I get to try all the products and stuff like that. But yeah, October the 17th at the Jolly Pumpkin. I just haven't posted it yet, but I knew about it for obviously a couple months. But
Well, now that you share it with
Yeah,
me, it'll
yeah.
be on my page. It'll be on Twitter, Facebook, and obviously this show on Podcast Detroit's page as well, and my world's page, and of course my personal. So, I kind of want to. I want to thank you for what you're doing. I think there's so many things to look forward to with you. So I'm kind of glad that we reached out, and I'm excited to see what we plot next.
yeah, it's
This
got to
will
be
be fun.
big though. It has to be impactful.
I'm random. You're into action. This is
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
I want to thank Podcast Detroit always for making this such a very, very seamless, smooth process every time we do this show. So thank you, David Phillips, and everything that you guys do. He says we try, but he's like he does it without like even a blink. So thanks everybody again. Tune in next week every Sunday at 1:00 for My World, and I will talk to you next week.